October. The best time of the year. It's got the best weather when wildfire season isn't extending well into fall, eggnog is finally being put onto shelves, pumpkin pie can be bought freely, it has the best nighttime monster aesthetic, and it has the best holiday of the year, Halloween. The only thing stopping Mariah Carey from defrosting. God, I hate Christmas music. Not too long ago, I got an email from someone who wanted to sponsor me about a boomer shooter. The title read, "We have a boomer shooter that you may be interested in, sponsored chance." So I said, sure, let me go ahead and take a look at it. Then I found out the game is called Dreadmoon, and it's a boomer shooter where you play as a werewolf. Why didn't you lead with that? Of course I'm down for that. I've ranted about this all the time, but there are simply not enough games where you're playing as something other than just a boring human. I want sci-fi worlds with different aliens, creatures, give me furries, I don't care, give me something other than just humans. So it's time. Yeah, right. Scaly Master Ace, bitch. It's worth mentioning that this video is sponsored by the developer and publisher of Dreadmoon. That said, I have made sponsored videos before where I've left a negative review of said sponsored game. Also, it's a boomer shooter where you play as a werewolf. Of course I'm interested in covering that. So, what is Dreadmoon anyway? Well, it started as a free-to-play arena multiplayer shooter where you play as a werewolf. So, an arena shooter where it's werewolf against werewolf. That alone is a pretty interesting concept, but it's really hard to get an indie arena shooter off the ground. They were mainly contacting me to cover their DLC campaign co-op, which is only $10 and will last you about 2 hours. I did want to try the multiplayer though, because I do miss arena shooters and it looks interesting. I mean, an arena shooter where you play as werewolves isn't too common. And I had a surprisingly good amount of fun. All my friends did.
You don't have raw food opinions here. You just slowly, starting to like it. I remember hating rice before. It was weird.
How do you hate rice?
It was sticky.
I'm leaving that one alone.
I didn't damage you?
I had armor.
Now you need help. Oh my god.
I brought 5 people along and the map was big enough to suit 5 people, so I didn't really need more than that. Your movement has this arena shooter feel where everyone's running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You do have a boost that is on a cooldown. There are teleporters and launch pads. I mean, if you've played an arena shooter, this is about what you should expect. The weapons are interesting because due to the setting of this game, you're not going to have your more typical weapons, so they've taken some liberties to a few of these guns. Like the flintlock pistol being able to shoot numerous times before you need to reload. Makes absolutely no sense, but whatever. More fun, all that matters. I think the most confusing of them all is the blunderbuss, which has multiple shots before that one has to reload, but I don't even care, because this thing is so strong. I love it. Alright, I had a blunderbuss. Why was I not using it?
Double kill.
No!
Oh my god! I love Ragdoll.
You dodged at the perfect time.
The main twist that you're going to get with this arena shooter is something called Blood Rage. You see that circle at the bottom of the screen that slowly fills up with blood over time? Well, when that fills up, you can activate Blood Rage. This effectively just makes you a very fast werewolf and allows you to one-hit kill enemy players. The thing is, this resets every time you die. So if you're dying, you're not going to be able to go into a Blood Rage. Wait.
What'd you even kill me?
Come here, you.
How about throwing eggs?
I like the
What?
achievements don't even work, and you doing something gave me an achievement.
Double kill.
Okay, so that's what this is.
Triple kill.
Oh,
Eradication.
it's just an insta-kill. Well, you
Yeah.
win now.
So yeah, this is a werewolf kill streak, and I'm oddly okay with that. If Call of Duty had this, I would actually like Call of Duty a lot more. I would like more silly, dumb settings like this, and this could just open up so many possibilities. This is the reaction of every Call of Duty player right now because they're more upset about cosmetics in the store instead of the game itself just not really being very good. But oh no, Call of Duty's lost its modern military identity. Bitch, it's an arcade shooter, who cares? I'd rather have it be good. So what about the $10 DLC co-op campaign? Well, you can play it with 7 of your friends, and in a way, this game kind of reminds me of Serious Sam. No, not the first encounter, no, not the second encounter, no, not Serious Sam 3 or 4. If anything, it reminds me of Serious Sam Next Encounter. If you don't know what Serious Sam Next Encounter is, this is a GameCube PS2 era console exclusive. But it's really easy to emulate through Dolphin, and if you use a mouse injector, you can just use a keyboard and mouse. It's the closest thing you're going to get to a PC port of this game, but it feels close enough anyway. It's my personal favorite out of the Serious Sam game, so this game feeling kinda like that game is not a negative thing at all. In fact, I like it. The general gameplay loop is exactly what you would expect. You go into an arena, you get locked into said arena, enemies pour out, you kill all the enemies, then you can move on. There is the twist where oftentimes you will have to hold out at a certain objective for long enough to make that objective get destroyed. It's magic or some shit, I don't remember. I'm actually not a huge fan of mixing it up like this. I would rather just be able to go into an arena and kill all the enemies and then keep going. It's not a big enough nitpick to destroy the game or really even be that big of a deal, but I felt like mentioning it. Movement here feels pretty much identical to that of the arena shooter multiplayer counterpart. You move very fast, you have a dash on a 2-second cooldown, it's about what you would expect. I can't complain about this movement, the speed fits the chaos happening around you. The weapons, however, are not the same from the multiplayer. They've had a complete overhaul. Kind of. The animations are the same, but the way they function is not. You know that flintlock that could shoot multiple shots? Well, now it's fully automatic, because reasons. Oh. Wait, is this thing, hold on, is this thing full auto?
Yeah.
Hey, oh my god!
Oh my god.
That is loud.
Excellent shot. Should you wish to inflict far more
Hey, that was a lot of
damage,
shots.
you'll need
Okay, the reasons are is that they had to make adaptations to these weapons to make them fit the gameplay that you're being thrown into. They were not made nor balanced for co-op campaigns like this in mind. So this, in my opinion, is the right change. And these weapons actually feel pretty damn good. My personal favorite is the blunderbuss. It's effectively a devastatingly strong shotgun with multiple shots before you have to reload, and the reload is fairly quick. As if the aesthetic for the weapons wasn't all over the place, you get an M79 as well, so you just straight up get a grenade launcher. Although my least favorite weapon in the game is kind of heresy, it's the minigun. The way they balance the minigun is not good, in my opinion. You move really slow when you're holding the minigun and even slower when you're shooting it. For the amount of enemies that are around, this just leaves you vulnerable most of the time. For multiplayer, this is balanced if you have right positioning, but for campaign, I don't see the need to nerf it in such a way. I think you can have the minigun be at full speed and it will be fine and not overpowered. It might be doubling down as the same kind of weapon archetype as the full auto crossbow. Yes, there is a full auto crossbow in this game, but that's an early game weapon and they use different ammo, so I don't really think this would be a problem. Okay, but what's actually happening in this game? I've talked about the weapons, I've talked about the enemies, I've talked about the fighting. Why? Why is any of this happening? Why are you fighting hordes of skeletons? Well, long ago, there was a vampire by the name of Balthazar. He was slaughtering everyone and taking over this region. Ulrich, one of the leaders, stood up to fight him. This didn't exactly go well and he fell in battle. Consequently, Balthazar took over the entire region. Much, much later, Ulrich is revived, but now as a werewolf. He was revived by a fox named Louisa. A werewolf being a pet for a fox. Now that's a role reversal. Well, as you might have guessed it, this werewolf is you. You are Ulrich. Louisa wants revenge, and to get rid of Balthazar, to take out the evil vampire controlling the land. That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's cliche, but sometimes a premise is all you need for a game to be fun. I mean, they had me at Boomer Shooter where you play as a werewolf. This is just set up for me to get to the part of the game I really want to play. It also sets the tone of the game, which looks fantastic. Yeah, it's low poly, it's not the best graphically you've ever seen, but that's not really important, it never tried to be that. The setting in this game fits the theme, and I really just like this vibe. Yeah, again, it's cliche, but I don't care. The first level is set in a graveyard, the next few levels are set in villages that Balthazar has destroyed, and the last few levels are you taking over the castle that Balthazar has taken over. These last few castle levels are awesome, by the way. I had the most fun I had in the entire game on these levels. It really seems like they found their stride here. They understood how map design works, they knew where to put enemies, and this just felt like an entirely different game. The previous levels didn't exactly have a hallway map design, like there was some verticality to them and whatnot, but nothing like this castle. And there's an end boss that I won't spoil, I'll let you get to that on your own. But if you watch this channel frequently, you might have noticed I have a format to these videos, where I cover the graphics and settings, then the story, then the gameplay. You might have also noticed that I did that in reverse this video, and that's because of the elephant in the room. I was having some frame rate issues in certain parts of the game, which is a shame because the main menu looks pretty and everything that I'm looking at, I just love it. Side note, if you want to get to your settings at the main menu, press shift. Little weird choice, but it's kind of hidden away. And all the settings are at a Dutch angle, which kind of hurts my head a little bit. Doesn't really mean anything, not really a complaint, but a little weird. Odd artistic choice. More importantly, there's just not really many settings here. You thankfully can change all your controls as needed, and you can change your FOV and max FPS and those kind of more important settings. But if you wanted to actually fine-tune the graphic settings themselves, those options don't exist. Which is important, because in my case I was having frame rate issues on a few of these levels in certain combat encounters. First level in the graveyard ran perfectly fine. Castle levels ran great, probably the best out of them all. But those 2 levels in the middle of the game in the villages, it seems that there's something going on with spawning more enemies. The more enemies that spawn, the more the game starts to stutter, which is a problem when one of the enemies summons more enemies and you need to capture objectives before they disappear. I'm running on a 3700X at the moment, which that CPU is starting to get outdated, but not that outdated. Also, I'm running at a 3080 and have 32 gigabytes of RAM. What I do know is that since we were playing in co-op, it was definitely affecting everybody else playing with me because I was host.
Oh, you think they teleported?
Yeah,
Why is this thing at?
This thing is nutty good. My frame rate is not nutty good. Oh! With that said, the way my friends described this to me was that it was only stuttering on their screen. It didn't seem to be frame rate lag for them, so this is probably optimization with very specific hardware that just happened to be in my PC. I've been informed they're looking into this and now they have even more hardware parts and more numbers and stuff to look into it, so, you know, these things change with patches and whatnot. Would I still recommend Dreadmoon? I'd say yes. A few moments of the game exploding in on itself doesn't make the whole rest of the game bad, but it's definitely something the devs should look into. Also, if you want another multiplayer game to play with your friends, that is free to play and you can download that and have all the fun you want. And if you really want to look into the co-op campaign, it is $10. The other question I got is it fun to play on your own? And I would say yeah, it's still fun to play on your own, but it has a serious SAM problem where in co-op, if you die, it's not a big deal, you just respawn. In campaign, solo, you would respawn at the last checkpoint and have to do that fight over again. There's so many enemies that this might get frustrating, but I don't know. I still thought the game was fun. I played it solo on my own for a little bit. I would definitely recommend playing with friends if you're going to do that. And I know some people are going to complain that it's only 2 hours long, but a $10 DLC co-op campaign is something I can't hold to the standard of a full $60 launch, so 2 hours is a pretty decent amount of time for only $10. But as I said before, sometimes all you need is a fun premise for a game to like it. A boomer shooter where you play as werewolves. Say it again, if that sounds appealing to you, go try it out. Hey, big thanks to the devs of Dreadmoon for sponsoring this video. I wouldn't have even known this game existed if they didn't contact me. Hey, big thanks to my YouTube members, especially RJ Tuvelin and Bloodline for being tier 3 super supporters. My YouTube members, you get to see my videos early ahead of time, so if you want early access, consider clicking that subscribe button down below and going to the YouTube members tab. If you want to see more of my content, I got a big playlist of videos just like this one over there. I would recommend checking that one out. Maybe check this one out. YouTube thinks you like it. If you want to subscribe, up there, you can click that. Or if you want to come hang out with me over on Twitch, you can click that. That'll send you to my Twitch, and you can follow over there. I also have a Twitter, twitter.com/Jarek_Dragon. It's not X,